This was one of the most shocking and heartbreaking cases to ever happen in Lee County. And very much like Opelika's Jane Doe case, which was recently solved, it gripped the entire community. And even more than that, what happened to Lori Slesinski was absolutely undeserved. This was someone that everybody unequivocally said was a good person. At 13 years old, this is the first case that I ever followed along with. For her family and friends, for me, and for many others, there's still hope that maybe one day she might be found. In 2006, Lori had just graduated Auburn University. On Friday, June 9th, she was planning to visit her best friend Lindsay for a girls' night. She called her friend around 6:30 p.m. and told her that she'd be stopping by the store before she came over. That store happened to be Walmart. In the background, Lindsay recalled hearing the voice of Rick Ennis, another one of Lori's friends. At the time, though, Rick was of no concern. After that call, Lori no-showed to Lindsay's house. She would then try to get in touch with Lori several ways, calling her house multiple times over the weekend. Lindsay and Lori worked at a mental health facility together. Lori would also not show up that Monday or Tuesday. Lori's phone call to Lindsay would be the last one that she would make. However, it was not the last bit of contact that somebody would have with her before she disappeared. Out of concern, Lindsay and another co-worker would find their way to Lori's student trailer. It was there that they found Lori's door unlocked and her car gone. The state of what was inside the trailer was also odd. On this Tuesday, after Lori had seemingly been missing for days, her dog Peanut was well taken care of inside of a crate. Lindsay and her friends and family knew that she would never leave Peanut behind. Also, somebody had to be cleaning up behind Peanut because there was no scat to be found. 3 rugs of Lori's were missing, as well as her outside trash can. On the same day, Lindsay made the call to Lori's mom, Arlene. Arlene immediately left her job, called her husband, and made her way to Lori's trailer. Upon arrival, Arlene also noticed something else strange. The long phone cord to Lori's phone in her bedroom was missing. Arlene then reported Lori missing to the Auburn police, and they came and interviewed Lori's friends. Focus then turned to Lori's friend, Rick. Though Lindsay had made the last phone call with Lori, Rick was the last person seen with her. He confirmed with police that he had been with Lori that day, but when he left her trailer, she seemed fine. He then told authorities that both of them sold marijuana together and that she most likely went off to sell her share. He made it an effort to suggest that she might have sold it to some questionable people. Police found absolutely no evidence that this was true in any way. They also confirmed with Walmart surveillance that she did indeed stop there. But that would be the last time that she would ever be seen. At 4:40 a.m. on Wednesday, June 14th, Lori's car would be found in flames. It was located in an empty cul-de-sac near the bowling alley where Rick used to work. The reality set in that something much more sinister might be at play. A devastating blow to the people who loved Lori. Police were unfortunately now looking for a homicide suspect. The blaze destroyed any evidence that could have been left inside. A glimmer of hope did come with the hand-rolled cigarette butt that was found near Lori's car. Despite this evidence, it would not be tested for several years. An empty gas can that looked eerily similar to one of the ones that was missing from the bowling alley was found in the nearby woods. Detectives called Rick in again and noticed scratches on his arms and hands. He could not explain these scratches and then proceeded to give inconsistent statements. Lindsay noted that she was told by Lori that Rick gave her a love letter. Lori was not interested in him romantically and told Lindsay that she would have a conversation with him. Rick did say that this happened and that he told his friends that Lori had rejected him. Authorities then went after Rick with full speed. They searched his car and found a knife, handcuffs, and cleaning supplies. They then looked into his past and found out that when Rick was 12 years old, he brutally slayed his mother and his stepfather in Montgomery, Alabama. He'd be held in juvenile detention for 9 years until he was released when he was 21 years old. That's when he moved to Auburn, Alabama. Rick's past would point to his potential involvement in this case, but the lack of direct evidence left his case cold. Police felt that they didn't have enough to charge anyone, and Rick moved away. In 2016, Special Agent Mark Whitaker of the Alabama Bureau of Investigation would open up a cold case unit. With this, he opened up Lori's case. The inconsistent stories from Rick led him to believe that this case should be pursued one more time, especially because Rick was the last person to see her. Special Agent Whitaker's partner, Agent J.W. Barnes, would find critical information to this case. Going through old case files, he saw a forensic report from 2007. It showed that Rick's semen had been found in Lori's bed sheets. It also showed that Rick's blood had been found on the interior of Lori's door. Investigators then found Rick's blood on one of the 3 rugs that went missing from Lori's trailer. Rick was then again having another case built against him. At the time, he was living in Virginia working for a yurt building company. He was also engaged to a school librarian. On August 6, 2018, Rick would then be arrested. 12 years later, this created another bittersweet moment. One, that there may finally be resolve to this case. And 2, Lori's whereabouts might be uncovered, but it might not be good news. Terry Booth, a man who said he was friends with Rick, would approach police. He said around the time of the initial investigation, he would be at a bar with Rick. He said that Rick very candidly told him that he had to get rid of that blank. At the time, Terry said that he thought Rick was joking, but he realized that he was probably not. Agent Whitaker and his team would then do what Auburn police did not do, test the cigarette butt for evidence. And it turns out that the cigarette butt found around Lori's burning car did in fact match Rick's DNA. This tied him to the scene of the fire. A trial was set, but it was halted by the pandemic. It resumed in March of 2022. Lee County prosecutor and district attorney Jessica Venturi had Lori's friends and family take the stand. They testified on her nature, her reliability, and that she would never leave unannounced. Terry Booth also took the stand. Forensic evidence of Rick's DNA was given to the jury. Rick's defense said that the cigarette butt didn't come from the burn scene, that it was possibly planted, and they egregiously doubled down to smear Lori's character, intent that she was dealing marijuana. Rick denied any association with Lori's disappearance. The jury deliberated for 2 days and found Rick guilty of Lori's disappearance and homicide. Her mom, Arlene, made a request to take the death penalty off the table. That was accepted. She felt that life without parole ensured that he would stay behind bars, and that it prevented him from dragging this out with numerous appeals. Unfortunately, Lori has never been found. Justice was served, but it came at a great cost. And again, the hope is that one day that she truly might be found, and that one day she can truly rest in peace the way that she deserves.